Welcome, Ayubowan. So in this lesson, we're going to have a look at common questions and topics for the IELTS speaking test. Now, part 1, of course, right? There are over 15 types of questions which frequently appear. Now, although the topics change, the common questions are often repeated, okay? So, I'm not saying this is always going to come. Miss said this is always going to come. No, that's not what I meant. I meant that they are common questions and they are often repeated. You might not get it, okay? The examiner will randomly select each batch of 3 from a list of different topics listed inside the booklet in front of them. So, okay, as you know, they will select a test from the booklet. Now, for part 1, you will be asked 12 questions based on 3 topics, and from each topic they will ask you 4 questions. This part of the test will last for about 4 to 5 minutes, right? Now, let's have a look at some examples. Let's talk about where you live. What do you like most about your hometown or city? Well, you could say, I really like the scenic spots in my hometown because you could really go out and then look at it for some time and calm yourself down. Okay? So, very short answers, but you're answering the question. Is your hometown or city a popular place for tourists to visit? And they would ask you why. So without always them asking you why, you could say yes it is because and give the reason. That's it. Don't go on giving 150 reasons. Just 1 reason or 2 reasons are more than enough. Do you think your hometown or city has changed much in recent years? You can say yes or no and then a reason. Now, another topic could be, let's move on to talk about reading. How often do you read? Well, I usually read every day because I'm a lecturer and I need to keep myself updated about information. Okay, so simple answer. What do you read? I usually read topics related to my subject. So I would read things related around language. And I would also read the newspapers and journals and articles depending on the day and what activities I have to do. How important is reading to you? Well, personally for me, it's really important because as I told you, I need to keep myself up to date with the information. So reading is really important for me. Okay, so you just give a very short answer, but you answered the question. Next one. Let's move on to talk about languages. How many foreign languages do you speak? Well, I speak only 1 foreign language. Right, so you could basically say that you can speak maybe 1, 2, 3 foreign languages, right? And why? Because maybe you've learned it because you had to learn it for the school syllabus, or maybe because you really like to learn that language, because you like to learn about the culture and you like to be able to speak different languages, right? When did you start learning your foreign language? Well, for me, I started learning it at a very young age, probably as soon as I started speaking, right? So English is a foreign language for me, and because, it was spoken at home. I didn't really go out to learn it, but because my parents spoke English, I spoke English at home, right? Do you think it is important to learn a foreign language? Yes, I think it's really important. I'm not saying English is only important, but I think it's really important if you could speak a foreign language because then it's easy for you to mix with different cultures and you're able to understand how they feel and communicate freely. Okay? So you can think about your own answers. Listen to the tense and make sure your answer matches the tense. What do you study? Present. Okay, what do you study? I'm studying science at the university. What did you study? I studied science when I was at university. What will you study? I'm planning to study science in the future. Can you see the difference? Do is present, did is past, will study is future. Okay? Right. Expand your answer before the examiner asks why. So that's what I told you. Give a reason. What do you study? I'm studying food science at university because, nice linker, I have always wanted to be a good food scientist. What did you study? I studied food science when I was at university and now I'm preparing to do my master's. What will you study? I'm planning to study food science in the future as I believe that food scientists will help us deal with future food crisis. So always they are answering the question, why? What do you study? This, why? What did you study? This, why? What will you study? This, why? Okay, so don't wait till the examiner always goes, why? Okay, just give the answer in one sentence or so. Make sure you open your mouth. So don't say, well, I was thinking that probably I just started this and I wanted to study this. I will study this. Or will study. Okay? If you don't open your mouth, we can't really hear what you're talking about. Can you? Right? So don't do that. Okay? Some students just talk by closing their mouth and they always think that we can hear them, but we can't hear them. Okay? So I want you to open your mouth so that we can really see how you speak and we can clearly articulate your words. So as I told you before, don't speak too quickly or don't speak too slowly. Go at your normal pace, right? And occasionally it's a bit nice, just to find a bit, not always, right? Because that will actually, relieve your stress a bit and it sounds good as well, okay? Make sure you use intonation and the natural rhythm of English. Stress important words and words that show contrast. I like to eat bananas, but I don't like to eat oranges. Or I don't like to eat apples. Okay? Right. Possible topics. So, these are some of the possible topics for part 1. They could ask you about science, dreams, being alone, transportation, films, efficiency about sound or noise maybe, about accommodation, maybe flats, houses, times of the day, morning, evening. Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? If you come from the beginner level, we've done some of these questions, okay? Pollution, tea or coffee, sky, cooking, running. About are you working or studying? So either work or study. Travel and festival, we've done festivals as well if you've come from the beginner level. Most of these topics we've covered, right? There might be a few new ones, obviously, because there should be something challenging for you, right? Shoes, colors, we've done lots of colors if you remember, okay? The ones who are just taking up the advanced one, that's okay, but we've done some of these topics during the beginner and then the intermediate level before they actually came into the advanced level, okay? So we've got letters, handwriting, hometown. So you can talk about the town or city, photographs, patience, unusual topic, swimming, dance, neighbors or neighborhood, city, driving, teacher. I think these two are quite similar, hometown or city. Okay, so quite similar. Rather, I think they should be like the same. Okay. Right, so moving on, we've got more things. I think the L should be here. It's rather here, but just put a dash there. Sports, physical exercise, drinking, water, drinks, robots, dictionary, concentration, leisure time or hobbies, computer, crime, about gardens or parks, sunglasses, snacks, running, jogging or cycling, wallet, happiness, birthdays, about maybe architecture or buildings, weather or seasons, music, right? Flowers, plants, again we've got festivals, maybe alone, not linked with travel. Shopping, going out on trips, art, fashion or clothing. Sleep, animals, gardening, getting lost, pets, daily routine, communication, childhood. So we've got a lot of topics, or rather lots of topics here. Now, let's have a look at a few topics, okay? Not everything, but we could have a look at a few topics, right? And here are some questions. What is your job? I'm a lecturer. Where do you work? I'm currently working at a private university. Why did you choose that job? Well, I chose that job, past tense. I chose that job because I really love to teach children, and I think it's quite engaging than working in an office in front of a computer. Is it a popular job in your country? Well, personally, I think yes, a lot of women in Sri Lanka like to become a teacher or a lecturer. Do you like your job? I love my job because it relieves my stress each time I walk into a class. Whatever mood I am in, it just quickly changes in a snap, right? Do you get on well with your colleagues? I do. I'm quite known to be a very chirpy and friendly person. What was your first day like? Oh, I remember the first day I walked into a class was quite a day, I would say, because I was very young when I started my career as a teacher, and I was very small made. So lots of children were kind of trying to figure out who I was. Was I a teacher? And they were making a huge noise. So it wasn't a very easy day, but I did manage it well. What responsibilities do you have at work? I need to make sure that I teach the course content. I get my students prepared for the assignments, and I mark their assignments and prepare them for the final exam as well. If you had a chance, would you change your job? Not really. I don't think so. I'm happy with what I'm doing at the moment, so I don't think I really want to change my job. Do you plan to continue with your job in the future? Yes, I am. I actually want to do my PhD, or I want to do another master's in primary education, and I want to move teaching younger students. Okay? Right. So, art. Now you have to answer, right? There's no point in me sitting here and answering all the things because that's not going to help you, right? You need to start answering these questions, right? Are you good at art? Yes, I am, because, and give the reason. Or you can say, no, I'm not good at art, and then give the reason, okay? Did you learn art at school when you were a child? Well, yes, I did learn art during my school days because it was a compulsory subject. What kind of art do you like? Well, I'm not really an artistic person. I don't like art too much. But I do like paintings, or I do like to paint. Is art popular in your country? I would say yes, it's quite popular because Sri Lankans are quite artistic and they have a lot of creative ideas. Have you ever been to an art gallery? Well, personally, no, I haven't been to an art gallery. Do you think children can benefit from going to art galleries? You can say yes or no, right? And give a reason. You can say yes and give a reason, or you can say no and give the reason. Okay? So the next topic is about evenings. What do you often do in the evenings? Usually I spend some time with my kids during the evenings because they come home after staying in the daycare for a long time, so I like to spend some time with them. Do you do the same thing every evening? Oh, it should be every evening. Just put the Y there. Do you do the same thing every evening? Not really. Some days I do have classes or lectures, so I wouldn't do the same thing every evening. Do you prefer to spend your evenings with family or friends? I would love to spend my evenings with my family because I rarely get time to spend with them, so I would really want to use every time that I get to spend along with my family. Do you ever work or study in the evenings? Yes, I do work in the evenings because I sometimes have my classes or lectures going on, so I do work in the evenings. What is a popular activity for young people in your country? Well, I think young people like to go to the gym, or they would like to rather go and play a sport. So, because they like to keep fit, so I think that's kind of a popular activity. Do you do the same thing in the evenings as you did when you were a child? Oh my gosh, no. When I was a child, I used to study in the evening, or I used to watch television. You know, mom used to make me a snack. It was more relaxing. But now it's completely different, so definitely no. You can give your own answers, right? I'm not saying this is the complete best answer, right? Just talk and talk with your heart and be honest most of the time, okay? Now, the talk, which is part 2. Here, you will be given a topic card and you have 1 minute to prepare. You will have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. You will be given the topic card and then a paper and a pencil. Most of the time we're given a pencil, right? So I'd like to write pencil there. To prepare notes and start right away. Okay? Don't be waiting because 1 minute goes like this. Examiner will let you know when to start speaking, so then you can start speaking as long as you can. Keep on talking. Close upon 2 minutes is better. The examiner will hand you a topic card and you will have some of the following questions. Now, art. So, let's have a look at an example. The examiner will hand you a topic card as the following. Okay? So, describe a piece of art you like. You should say, let me just move this a bit towards this side. You should say, what the work of art is, when you first saw it, when you first saw it, right? What you know about it, and lastly, explain why you like it. Right, so you could get a card like this. You'll have to describe a piece of art you like. So you should say what the work of art is, present tense, because what you like. When you first saw it, okay, what you know about it, and explain why you like it. So have a look at what kind of answer could you build up on this, okay? Now, the examiner will say you will have to talk about a topic for 1 to 2 minutes. You will have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say. You can make some notes to help you if you wish. All right? Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please? Okay, so they give you 1 minute and she say, all right. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please? That's it, okay? And then you start speaking. So, moving on into part 3, now they're going to ask you broader topics which you discussed in part 2. So, part 2, it was about describe a piece of art that you like. Here, you will have questions and you will have to expand and give detailed answers, not just yes, no, and why. Here, you will have to do what? You will have to give examples and elaborate on your answer. Here, for all the questions, not one question, for all the questions, you have 4 to 5 minutes. The number of questions will depend on the length of your answer, right? So, here are some of the questions. What kind of art do you enjoy? What are the traditional art forms in your country? What makes a good painting? Do you think children should study art at school? How can children benefit from learning art? How has art changed in the last few decades in your country? So these are some of the questions they could ask you if you had this kind of card as a part 2 topic card. Okay? Now, moving on, possible topics of part 2 and 3. Now, I've got a few here. Describe a good law in your country. Describe a healthy lifestyle, Describe something you do to help you study or work, okay? Describe a time that you took medicine. So, I'd like you to pause the video and go through these topics, all right? There's quite a lot here. I'm not saying these are the only ones. I've just put in a few examples for you. Here you've got more, right? And you've got more topics, right? And you've got more topics. So I'd really like you to pause the video and go through these and try. Remember, I told you some ways or tips how to improve speaking skills at home. Think about this and think about, now here I've not given you the bullet points like I gave you. But you could think about things that you could talk for a part 2. One, what kind of questions can they ask you for a part 3? That is what I mean by learning, okay? So I can just say, okay, these are the questions, this is this. That's not going to help you speaking. Speaking isn't going to work just because I talk and I tell you the answer. Speaking, you will improve if you do it, you spend time along with it, okay? So please don't get me wrong and think, oh, she's not giving us any answers. There's no point if I do that for all, okay? I will help you when it comes to the Cambridge books, but here I'd like you to start being a bit independent and start looking at probable questions and answer structures and recording yourself and practicing. So with that, we come to the end of the lesson, which was about common questions and topics for your IELTS speaking test.